So, I know that Slender Man was just made up on the something off forums. Sure, he's terrifying, but let's face it, he's made up. That's not to say there's not some kind of supernatural entity out there. So, that's where I need you guys. I'm no expert, and this is a throwaway account. So, I'm just gonna give you the whole truth, and I want you to give me the whole truth. I'm not a very superstitious guy, but I have my fair share of stories that are unexplainable. Please note, this story is not written to entertain, so excuse me if it's boring. Names have been changed for privacy's sake. I was never what one would consider a normal child. I always knew that there was something else out there. My dad used to joke that I would stare outside my window for hours at a time, gazing into the forest just across the road. My dad doesn't joke anymore, not after he saw what I was looking at. We lived in the same house my whole life. Small cozy home with 2 stories and 4 bedrooms. The street we lived on was fairly uninhabited, with only 3 other houses on our side and 1 on the other. The other side of the street, minus the 1 house that was built there, was completely empty and covered in dense, thick woods that went on for miles. One of my few friends used to go hiking in those woods for days. No one ever goes hiking there anymore. Anyway, I grew up in a fairly normal environment. I attended the local elementary, middle, and high school. We had selfie students that even public schools was kindergarten through 12th grade. I never had many friends in my younger years, but one boy, Tom, has been my best friend since 2nd grade. I was a strange child. The teacher would send reports home with me to my parents about how instead of playing with the other kids, I would just stare off across the playground into the woods that surrounded us. One day, my 2nd grade teacher decided to investigate what exactly I was looking at. "William, what is it that you see?" she asked me in a playful voice. I looked at her with a perfectly straight face and then said, "The big man, Miss Kelly. Don't you think he's interesting?" "Is the big man your friend?" she asked, naturally assuming that I was just imagining a friend since I had none at the time. I heard another voice from behind me. "I see him too, William. I've already asked him. He says adults can't see him." I turned to see this voice of reason was, and lo and behold, met my best friend for the next 16 years. "Who are you?" "My name's Tom. I live near you. I've seen you too outside before. You can see the tall man too?" "Boys, why don't you go off and play with the others? Tall man can wait until you get home," Miss Kelly said. We both nodded and ran off to the swing on the swing set. I was taken aback. I always thought that I would be alone, but I liked Tom. He seemed like the kind of boy that I could be really good friends with. Little did I know that my life would be in his hands in a short amount of time. After Tom and I started hanging out, I saw less and less of the big man. I remember one day, I didn't see him at all in the playground. I ran up to the edge of the fence to call out and see where he went. I opened my mouth to scream, "Big man, where are you?" I felt a hand slide over my mouth. It was Tom. His eyes were wide with fear. "Shh! What are you doing, Will? He gets upset if you draw attention to him like that. Let's go play kickball." I nodded my head in agreement. And that was the last time I thought of the big man. For 4 years, Tom and I became very close, spending every day together in and out of school. We shared the same interests, the same ideas, and even the same dislikes. Everything had gone smoothly up until the summer after my 6th grade year. In the heat of July, when the big man paid me an up-close and personal visit along with death itself. I'm going to break these up into segments. I don't want you guys to have a wall of text. I'll start writing the other part after I get back from the gym. I figure there's not much you can declude from such a short story, but I imagine the next one will shed some light on my situation. Also, I know the rules, say not to debunk or doubt or ask for proof, but I encourage this as I'm searching out the truth and I'm willing to answer any questions any of you may have.